She opened, she saw in front of the goal and inside the football well. I wish I was a sweet soap going from hand to hand. Every time there is a bed, I see the promised land. Hey, pussycat, where have you been? Pussy went to London, Tom went to see the Queen. A chicken in a car, the car can go. Chicago, Betty Booty and Innie Miney go. Them was happy days, really happy days. School days was happy days. Friends, romance, countrymen, the world is a stage. To do or not to do, this is the question. The quality of mercy is not spread, it's paid for every young woman. Hickory, hickory, mountain, hey, monkey on the roof. Siggily, siggily, marble stone, pointer, pointer, poof. C-O-N-T-E-N-T-S means Charlie Oaken and anything, and anything swear. Come go tail, loop. Come let we play hockey, jump up and let go one big poop. Inside them was happy days, really happy days. School days was happy, happy days.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web. Pleasant good day to you. Yes, I thought it was, of course, a wonderful introduction to, of course, our series, a new formatting, etc. Earlier, maybe around 6 o'clock, as we focus on education and human capacity development. Let me repeat. As we engage in educational initiatives that will benefit what is considered to be the most depressed among the east-west corridor. And as everything else, as Confucius would have said, the longest journey begins with a single step. Yes, there will be thorns, there will be impediments, there will be hurdles. But commitment, tenacity, focus, and vision and destination must always be the monofocus of any endeavor, particularly where it is designed for human advancement. In this case, of course, we are talking about East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealands, Belmont, Chumacac, of course, Movat, and we can go on and on. The so-called depressed of the depressed. Of course, we can argue that in Central there is Enterprise, and farther afield, deep south, maybe Gun Hill, just off Point 14. But you have to start somewhere. And it must be done by people who have a clear vision and understanding as to what has to be done. And that is not an easy feat in itself, because it requires a lot of brain matter, so to speak, a lot of experimentation, a lot of do's and don'ts, a lot of trial and error to come up with a kind of sociological formula or amelioration that will, on a sustainable basis, very important, the word sustainable. You see, we have had too many over the years, temporary or ephemeral or inchoate, incomplete, what I consider to be social re-engineering or engineering designed to address the most base of the social and human concerns that we have had to endure in this country. And it has, of course, morphed, or it has tapered to very specific communities. Not that other communities are not deserving of attention or engage in what I consider to be subterraneous sociological activities. But let us face it, no other community in Trinidad and Tobago has been named, has been nomenclatured, has been identified. And if you want to use the advisories coming out of the metropolitan countries and potential investor countries, or from where foreign investment will come, if you were to use that as the ultimate yardstick to determine that such communities are deserving of attention, are deserving of focus. I listened to the contribution of Senator, and I consider to be him a man of the roots, of the grass, David Naked. And the man, in terms of his description, in terms of his analysis, is on the button, or was on the button in his contribution to the ZOSO bill that is currently before the House. I'm talking about the Senate, the Parliament. Yeah. And he identified to the button the causative agent of the deterioration, and it has clearly, as he identified, both the physical world, infrastructure, housing, as well as the social deterioration of segments of the East-West corridor, among them being, of course, East Port of Spain, Laventille, Beetham, Sealats, and those that I mentioned earlier. Same socio-economic circumstance, and the genesis of it, the alpha of it, can be strictly attributed to one organization that has been in government for obviously too long and have created the debacle, the retrogression, the almost institutionalization of poverty, And at the same time, you can trickle it down or you can extrapolate it to a particular ethnic group as well. So you are clear in your minds. And let me say that, coming back to, of course, the international advisories against Trinidad and Tobago, the only community that is identified, spoken of, mentioned in the advisories, whether it coming from the United States, Canada, Germany, France, the United Kingdom, the only community that are mentioned are those of the East Port of Spain, Nelson Street, don't go Nelson Street, Laventille, Queen's Park Savannah, and the proximity of Belmont. But no other community has been mentioned in that way. And so my argument, and he had regurgitated it. I don't know if he was listening to me over the years, because I know that he was not wrong when I was talking about the need for the amelioration and the development and the transformation and the attitudinal change and the metamorphosis towards a positive development and contribution to the national good. He wasn't wrong when I began that journey back in 1984, thereabout. As a young teacher, teaching, of course, in the Piccadilly Government School and growing up in Laventille, etc., he might have grown up. He might have had a different experience from what we have been told. But he went away. I stood all that time with some, of course, intermittent sabbatical, or should I say departures, but never long enough to lose sight of the existential, whether it be in the chronological sense, that is to say, nostalgically in the past, and going up to this point in time to see a further detail. And I want to say this, that if it was not for people like myself, Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke, and of course the people like Lystra Penny, the late Horace Raymond, some names that many of you may not be familiar with a few exceptions, like Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke and myself, Horace Raymond, Morgan, number of others who stayed. If it wasn't for the creativity and the intervention and the innovativeness to pursue a vision for the transformation, even though it would have been a very, what I consider to be minuscule in terms of impact. Minuscule here meaning that their immediate community, which it would be generally micro, comparatively speaking. If they did not stay, if we did not stay and do something about it, imagine the situation would have been and could have been worse. That is the point I am making. The situation could have and would have been worse. And I don't think anybody could fathom with a modicum, well, no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how sensible you are, no matter how critical in your analysis and thinking you are, no one could have contemplated, no one could contemplate what is meant by the situation could have been worse. would have been worse. And let me not waste time, because we have had all kinds of state-focused and state-oriented and state-sponsored interventions, all of which have failed. And while over the years the law enforcement agencies will boast and of course do so in a desultory manner, ebb and flow, helter-skelter, they boast now, and tomorrow, of course, they have to swallow that which they boasted about, because the situation just got not just worse, but is as if there is a sort of abstract defiance and a will and some kind of intelligent operation or operative to sully and to disrespect and disregard the so-called gains that law enforcement from time to time claim to have been making. And we have seen the recent iterations, the recent editions of that. We can talk about Anaconda and Baghdad in the past, and we can talk about 360 degrees radar and the blimp and all of that. We can talk about, of course, the OPVs. We can talk about successive commissioners of police saying that they have a zero tolerance of crime. But that has not worked, and I argue at this point in time that it will not work and has not worked. And we have been saying that whether it be those who are in the vineyards or who are closer to the actual machinery or the nucleus that has given birth and generate the kind of decadence and the kind of retrogression and the kind of crime and criminality and the crime and the type of young people who are gravitating to a life of crime, or whether it be in the form of what we call today gangs, or indeed the establishment of what borderline issues, and we can go on and on. But clearly, our education system in that regard have failed. The churches and religious entities have failed. The social intervention by states have failed. And yes, we acknowledge that is a small group comparatively speaking, but yet still, in spite of that numerical insignificance compared to, of course, the general 1.5 population, we are unable to, of course, put a handle on these issues in these communities. I need not regurgitate or remind you of the most egregious and the most inhumane and the most compellingly barbaric forms of treatment of one human being to another, particularly young people who are engaged in crime and criminal activities, whether they are now in, of course, remand yard or serving a sentence, or indeed have not yet been able to get the law enforcement to be attracted to them, or to bring them to account criminally. There is an ecosystem that sustains that, and we must understand it in order for us to move forward on a sustainable basis to rid this country of this scourge, and to bring us to the fullest of our potential, to contribute to ourselves, our families, our neighborhoods, our community, our villages, our regional corporations, our municipalities, and indeed by extension, and you must of course include the THA and therefore Tobago and therefore Trinidad and Tobago. Have to do it. But I have seen no one with a clear vision. You have this hodgepodge, and so long as they have not, of course, implemented or taken on board the efforts of persons like Archbishop Barbara Gray Burke and their advice and so on, I say to them that they are missing out, and therefore they cannot prove us wrong in terms of our approach and from time to time criticism of the waste of resources. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Are you hearing me? All right, we seem to have, let me just make sure we have, all right, okay, right, that's where you're coming from here. Bram, okay, that's one. And let me make sure, microphone. No, this is supposed to be.
I am hearing you.
Oh, you're hearing me, right, okay. I'm hearing you.
Yes, I'm hearing you through the phone, not the TV, because I turned on the TV.
Okay, go ahead, make your contribution.
I'm hearing you. I'm not hearing you now. I said I turned on my TV, so I'm not hearing you now.
Okay.
Through the phone.
All right, but are you hearing me now? Are you hearing me? Yes or no?
More hearing like an echo in the background. I hardly hear you.
All right, okay. All right, let me put back this one. Are you hearing me better now?
I'm hearing you now. Yes, okay. I'm hearing you plenty better.
All right, good. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good program so far. Yes, the UNC government, she's trying to do her best to please everybody. But citizens don't like where they're going to raise gas, where TNTech light bill and water bill light bill going up again, going up, and gas going up. And they don't like the penalties on car fines and stuff like that. You know, they are only waiting for the SOE to over to start a protest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the word on the ground. So people are waiting. All those who not
well, let's face it. There are some hardships that people are experiencing. But of course, we have to put things in perspective. First and foremost, the increase in electricity is targeting, of course, commercial and industrial consumers, not domestic. Right, that's the first thing.
Okay, very good.
Right? But of course, there are those who would try to convince people that there's all of that in the maze, in the plethora of different measures that would have been taken, whether announced in the budget or subsequently, to suggest that all is bad and all is deteriorating and the people's circumstance are getting worse and worse. I want to say to them that have some patience.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah. The present administration does not have a track record of putting unnecessary pressure on people. We just saw where $1 million gratia payment has nothing to do with the legal part of it. Whether they get $5 million, more than that, it doesn't matter. But the government, in spite of its constraint, and I want to say it in a particular context. I say all of this in a particular context because the government really has inherited
a lot of debt from the PNM.
Yeah, because, and I'm saying from one perspective alone, and you will get the idea. The PNM inherited over $12 billion when they came into office in 2015. Right, okay, right, good. So you know. But people, that is not sufficiently regurgitated or told to the people that when they demitted office on the 28th of April last year, there was only about $4 billion of that $12 billion remain. Understand.
But what we need to remind the nation of that, play back the clips when PNM won election in 2015. Play back this time when Imbutan of how much different ministries have found money in.
Yes.
And every ministry, they get stupid to receive money so that they couldn't believe that she left that amount. I understand.
That is the nation. But I want to remind what they meant. Yeah. But I want to make clear that you have a duty too, to of course disabuse put people on the right course, in spite of the fact that they may have an
I've been
agenda.
educating them.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been educating
Beautiful,
them, but
beautiful.
like they
That is
keep bouncing
important.
their head
That
on
is,
the wall.
yeah, that's
They
important.
just keep saying PNM and UNC are the same. No, there's not the same. There's a big difference.
That's right. Yeah.
Look at employment coming over social media and different ministries, different something. And once you're qualified, you get hired.
Yeah, but I want
Look
to
like me
advise
now.
you.
I am looking for cleaning work in them schools Monday to Friday
Okay.
because by working and not making ends meet.
Right.
Min,
So you have to
with the
double up.
gas
You have to
price
triple
going
up.
up.
Yeah.
With the gas price going up now,
Yes.
and the NIS with the withdrawing, I only taking home like 662 for the week, and my passage out of that is 175, 180.
Wow.
Then if let me say as a mother who have, well, my children are fully grown, who have rent to pay, groceries to buy, and children to send to school, what are you living off?
Yeah. We will discuss all of that, but it's important that we look at the genesis of all of that and why it is that the government has to take certain measures that it would, under normal circumstances,
I
will
know.
not want to.
So that build the economy before she can give out.
That's right, exactly. So I think you have the gist of it. But I want to say as well, I'm cautioning you as well, if I may, in that if there are persons who are recalcitrant, if there are persons who are insistent, if there are persons who are aggressive, don't engage, because it may well be 9 out of 10 times it may well mean that their agenda is one of a political nature, and therefore you can't convince that person because they want their preference, usually is PNM, to be in office. And I could tell you, and you know, that the situation would have been worse if the PNM had gotten back in office.
Yes,
on
because
the 28th
citizens,
of
homeowners,
Imagine it bad now.
homeowners, homeowners would be losing their property for property tax. The way they was going to commercialize private homes.
Of course. So let us not.
And
I
am glad that she has started with this commercial rental value. So people like Faris Alwawi and all of them, Stuart Young, where's man Terry, former Minister of Health, all of them have businesses that tax the thing.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think that they have moved it into a very humane position, because these people, whether you like it or not, they should be able to provide, because they were making money all the time. So now they are asked to make this sacrifice and thing. We get another call, so let me just.
Okay, good program.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, indeed, of course. Caller, call back. At taking you off. Caller, call back, right? Caller, I know is our WhatsApp friend. So call back. I want to get you on the system itself so that we can have a proper conversation. In the meantime, of course, yes, he called because I was going to put a camera on Joshua. Joshua is doing some homework there, and let me just point to Joshua before we go further. Let me just do that. Yeah. Let me just do that. Just a second. Yes, Joshua is doing some homework there. Look him there. All right. Okay. Let's go back now to the caller. Yes. All right. Joshua said a little thing there for them. He said a little right. A little. Right. Okay. Right. So let's go back to the caller. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Uncle, good night.
Yes. Good night to you, my friend.
Right. I want to put Mr. Martin George, a special good night to Mr. Martin George, attorney Martin George. For shedding some light with the police execution.
Okay.
And here we're going on. This supposed to be a real burden issue in the country right now. You see that this incident is about the second incident like that similar happened when they get exposed with killing innocent people.
Yeah.
Right? And Mr. George shed some light on a program I just listened to a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Honorable Prime Minister really need to make some kind of input with that issue. Right? Because apparently what Mr. George saying that the Police Service Commission have a role and function, because I was only just talking about the PCA part, right?
Yes, I know that you have been very, very adamant with respect to that. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. The Police Service Commission have a role and function, and apparently they drop the ball, because based on what the commissioners come out and say concerning counsel for his officer and thing, and the last, the surviving victim, he showed no sympathy for the young lady who paralyzed her life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? So
I heard the interview.
I
I want to tell you, just to be fair to you, I heard the interview. I listened to it. I heard all of the arguments. I think that he was on par. And of course, all of us would have concluded that if it is the last piece of the saga that took place there that we saw, what we didn't see was anybody resisting the police. That's what we saw. So I don't know how the commissioner of police could try to tell us we didn't see what happened before when we saw the conclusion, when the death came.
This
it is
issue,
just asinine. Go ahead.
This issue can't just be normal, and we talk about other topics like other social issues.
Yeah.
This had to be a burning issue.
Before is irrelevant. The people lost their life.
Right.
In the video, whether it be the 2 seconds or 5 seconds or 5 minutes, as the case may be, they lost their life in the circumstance that everybody in the world would have observed. It is clear. Let me tell you this before we go further. It is clear that prior to that final piece, that the people were alive. That's all. They were alive.
Yeah.
And when that final piece came, they were dead because of the reckless, brutal execution style activities and conduct of the law enforcement agencies that was on the scene conducting that particular exercise. Because the fella run away, you kill him? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that is madness, that is jungle and barbarian conduct. But go ahead. Yes.
The Honorable Prime Minister need to do something as soon as possible regarding this. This can't continue, because here what is going on. This commissioner of police, I don't know who is he, I don't know where he from or whatever thing, right? This man,
Mr. Faizaban, I know that you're calling, but keeping you on. I know that you are there, so I would, just as this caller, I will wait until he's finished before I'm sure that you will get onto the system itself, so we can have a proper conversation. Go ahead. I know that you're concluding.
When this man was given his instruments of appointment and whatnot, right? Right. The government and certain people that endorse that, because it's a long while there wasn't having a substantive commissioner of police, right?
Right.
Okay. And due to his age and thing now, the civil, he will have about 11 years in that position. Yeah. But here what I'm telling you, if he had to be there for 11 years with that kind of policing, partner, hear what I'm telling you, the UNC, come next election, something, because I tell you, the Honorable Prime Minister have to do something about that. Right? Because let me tell you something. Also, I tell you, if that remain unchecked, right? I tell you that we had no arrest people, because you put on a patch on the uniform, which is not part of the commissioner uniform, but some kind of Punisher symbol or whatever it is.
Yeah.
This man sending a signal to weaponize the police service. And this is a serious, serious thing. As I mentioned this morning on another program this morning, Uncle Lennox, one of the policemen that was involved in that video there, right, was in another scene with when 4 police officers leave from St. Joseph and went in the carcass and killed Carver. People let's forget. And the other caller on the line with the big contribution, the family and the family and the victim with what happens St. Augustine on Thursday, or let's get get attorneys and get some kind of advice on our way forward and try to get the PCA out of the investigation, because that is what the police officer want. That is a getaway card for them. And the person who make the press release concerning what happened and what happened, nothing, the DCP, she not in no position to make those statements, because she had no all have dirty linens in she closet. You understand? That's my contribution tonight.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. All kinds of speculations and, of course, conspiracy theory. But I am a pragmatist, and therefore, what I have seen, and so long it is not AI generated or interfered with, and it's a raw footage, because those police officers never expected such a video to surface. And you see, of course, where that video came from. The camera, that is, it would have been hidden under the building that would have been, if we are facing it, and then, of course, you will see it on the left side of the video. And, of course, parts of the building being shown, I understand, is a temple. Right at that corner there where the vehicle, of course, crashed on the left-hand side of the road, having, of course, entered, and the police, of course, in hot pursuit. But what we saw was a hand indicating surrender, obviously. And the police engaged, of course, in the execution of those, or the person who was in the cars. Is fortunate that the other party is still alive today. And we have to thank God for that. But to tell us as Commissioner of Police, best the Commissioner of Police, as I said on the ground report this morning, the Commissioner of Police had several options rather than saying what he said there and showing empathy or sympathy for the police as opposed to the victims. And he would have seen the same videos as well. I don't know if he made the statement before or after, but I am assuming that he saw it. Because he talked about before that video, before that piece of the video, the terminus, the ending of the video, of the action. He talked about that there were things before that he can't show. But let's go to the line. Pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Right. Lennox, the Martin are called to tell everybody the bill failed. All the PNM senators and the PNM independent senators vote against it.
Serious?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. It's unexpected.
Well, when we say they are PNM independent senator, that shows they're ready.
Yeah.
Really want to save lives. You understand? They don't want to fix it. So we have to fix them during the next election, right?
All right. Oh, good. All right. That is surprising to me, because somebody asked me and I said I expected at least the president, the independent senators, and 9 in number. And if you just want 4, then it means that 5 could abstain or whatever, not in favor of.
1 abstained, Died McNish abstained,
and the rest of them downright said no?
No. 15-14 was the vote.
Yeah, because the government has 15, right. The opposition has 6, and right. the independent has 9.
And 9.
9, making up a total of 31. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Wade Mark is the 31.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting indeed. Very interesting.
Well, so be it. The country has to move on, and they have to find ways to.
Yeah. I have seen no bad breeze blow. I was of the view when the whole question, that aspect of the was to be so, that aspect of community empowerment and development, I was particularly pleased about that, because for the first time, at least under legislative authority and coercion, if you want to call it that, at least people like myself would have gotten the authorities to focus on providing infrastructural development, educational support, and indeed, of course, all of the other matters that would make life better for persons in these so-called hot spots, as we would normally call. But of course, in the context of the legislation, it would have been called, of course, the zones of special operations, whatever it is. But that part of it, I thought was critical. It was music to a fellow like my ears, because over the years we have been asking for resource, and I started off the program like that, and here it is, you come and you throw some salt in my formerly enthusiasm and optimism. But go ahead, my friend. That being as it may.
Karma will take care of that. But an interesting thing.
Go ahead.
The Honorable Attorney General JJ said he could have passed this bill with a simple majority, but he did not want to do it. He wanted a constitutional mandate to do what it is. But
was there any amendments that was preferred by?
To pass it,
does that accommodate it?
To pass it because of time limit, time constraint. He tell them he will not facilitate any amendment.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But he will look at it as they move along. He gave them that assurance, but they didn't accept it. The thing is, I believe two things have to happen now, right?
Go ahead.
You see the gospel of the president, we have to pull that apart and see what that gospel really is. If that is a genuine gospel, or that is to continue to take Trinidad down the rabbit hole. The other issue is the police now, during this bid, the police got a lot of licks because the way they have been doing things, a lot of question, a lot of things. So it is time to start reconstructing the police right away. And I've always said we need to get rid of the Police Service Commission, and we need to have accountability and discipline the officers who in the leadership now. A lot of those people in the leadership came out of the day of policing, and if you go through the day of policing, the GLS report, they were silent. They wasn't aware they wasn't aware, or they were hiding as to who planned the whole day of policing. And they say was the GB, the leadership of the GB, and the 2nd Division. So you have all of those people at the leadership of the police, and because they come from a DNA that was obstructive, that is what we have. The police and the police service stays too long to discipline. So one of the things is to change the Police Service Act so you could discipline people right away, because they go. For example, if a police is brought before the court, most likely the charges are dismissed. It's too old, they're missing files, all kind of things like that. You understand? So it has to think us, and I think we should be looking for a new head of state, because the choice of senators she put does not interest of the country.
Well, of course, that matter constitutionally will only come around March of 2028, unfortunately, when her term of office will expire. In the meantime, of course, there's a country to run.
And we have to do that, by time.
And therefore, the population must now decide how it's going to treat with that situation. And while she was speaking, what came to mind to just make a comparative analysis and to see the conduct of the independent senators. What came to mind is that particular bill that was being debated and eventually, of course, passed with a very slim support from one senator, talking about the bill which deals with the government. When the government got its way in terms of the procurement legislation, in other words, when the government got its way to avoid the scrutiny of that particular piece of legislation by accepting or by taking out, I think it was Section D, I believe it is, or Section 7 of that bill, when they said that the government is immune from the bill in terms of government-to-government arrangements, importing medical things. I don't know how that found itself in the bill, but we later learned that Al-Rawi's family was taking advantage of that. And of course, Stuart Young's family in terms of financing the budget or the government at the time when that matter came to the fore. But what was important is that the senator agreed, because the essence, the objective there was to have the government account through the procurement legislation and to leave the bill as it was. But the PNM was able to get at least one independent senator to, of course, support that, and therefore it became law.
Look at this senator, what do you call him, Vera? He's the one inside the debate. I think it was to impeach the former president or something like that. When he said he was communicating with the judges, neither the Chief Justice do anything about that, about the judges who were saying, no, the president get rid of him. But you bring him back. So it tells you how to throw the PNM line, because they benefit directly from it. Yes, with briefs and contracts and things like that. You understand? And basically, the police wanted this for them to sustain the gains. You understand?
Yes. Mm.
Right? So,
yes, indeed.
So we'll see what moving on.
Yes. Thanks very much, Professor, for that intervention.
Okay, take care.
Bye-bye. Yes, indeed, people. Of course, I didn't expect that the independent senators will have all that belly. They have more belly than a calabash. Having regard, of course, to the significance of that particular bill. You see, because what they did is focus clearly. They were focusing on the human rights infringements. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor, Mr. Faizabad. Go ahead.
A pleasant good night to each and every one of the listeners. Go tell the PNM supporters and them and the criminal element that the PNM had defend criminality again. Right? But Mr. David Martin, you forget one thing, like your friend the senator, Vera get over $300,000 in brief from the PNM, and he worked in court with the PNM. So, your friend the senator, let him sue me. If you want to say it, I will say it. Because here what's going on. You have to call a spade. And the PNM independent senators and them once again show their loyalty. Because you cannot tell me, right, that a bill that you will fight crime in different zones and areas, but they want to let the criminal element know when they're coming for them, so they can move on my gate and it will be a bust. Right? So once again, the PNM show how the element will protect them. So no problem. And then now we will see all, let's imagine, Queen's Hall, they celebrate 30 years, but they never say how they will put the country first, putting people, the supporters first. What they don't want to go back and say, they said they will be better again with the PNM and greater in thieving and misappropriating the funds of the state and suffering the supporters. So I know now is a PNM criminal entity. So all the criminal entities will come out and march on the road against the government. Because you know why? Because criminality is the order under the PNM. Every single thing about the criminals was defended by the PNM. But you know, Penny, you want to get defend that your leadership. Ashton Ford talk about your leadership. And the one right up in Laventille, he talk about your leadership. So you see, that is not to defend, because your leadership, as you take over, you lost an election under your leadership. And that's the second election you lost, because when you was in Tobago, you lose the opportunity of the leader to be nominated and voted for the leader. They get Stuart Young. Then when they come to Trinidad, you get all of a sudden it's 6-4 and 6 against, and you have the decisive vote. So you see, that is the second election. So all the citizens, the right-thinking citizens of this country, will judge all by all the performance and passing bills, because they see where all the state fund for over the 10 years, all tell them, tighten the belt, it they have is not a privilege. I'm telling them, tighten the belt. And the money ended up in bank account with family, friends, and well-wishers. Just imagine Foster Cummins talking in this bill about youth and empowerment. But nobody is talking about the $28 million in the Chatham Youth Camp. Contractor get paid, and they got him tied go to the Fuzzy Bush thing. So you take 120 trainees, but yet still the land in Chatham is fully developed, and the house is ready for the homesteaders and them. Mama Gizam. The Shagaramas super farm again, all put up, the mega farm, the shade, all they call it the greenhouse shade. Wait, what is the effect? But the people know what all they do that for the 10 years. Because just imagine the same super workers are them. Is the contractors who benefit and not the workers. URP, they under minimum wage, $70 a day, get $2 increase. But a grocery paid $22.50 an hour, but they can't get work. All they say only 16,000 Spanish in this country, and all they know nothing more and nothing more. Now you're seeing it only gone over midnight, and 175,000 put in an application to be processed in 14 days. But they know what they call it for now? The Spanish element. Go back, and you notice now, mainstream media ain't talking about Zora peace again. Why are they talking about the LC Rodriguez now? Sign an agreement that to open in Parliament and put it in the law books that American oil company could come back and exploit, drill for oil and sell oil. So Uncle Lennox, the nice thing about it, my UNC had delivered to the people more than what the PNM had delivered in the last 10 years. And I see a woman in the tutor, what's she name? Crystal something, right? She bring on the teachers and them, and the distancing themselves that she had no part to do with the teachers staying home today. But the nice thing about it, they should pay them in bonds that will have a cash in till 30-35, and beyond. Then to get the money. Because you know why? It's the same PNM the support, and the same PNM the hush them out about, right? And want this government to find the money, like last week to give them. They get them in bonds and let the long term. Because here what's going on. When Rowley you start to pay, it will crash the economy. When he had to close down Petrotrin, he said it will crash the economy and it will damage the economy. When to divest the asset of PICO in the right way, he said that will mash up the economy. So here what's going on. Pay them in bonds now. Because no cash payment. Have a nice night, Uncle Lennox. And all the joining into the ground report tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Because in case you may have the information, I am not clear as to whether or not tutors' disappointment would be nestled in the 5% increase that they would have gotten, as opposed to arguing that they should benefit from the 10% that the PSA would have negotiated for their own membership. If we could clear up that and why it is that that tutor engaged in that kind of what I consider to be industrial action, even though of course it was not formally or officially recognized or stated. Because, you know, I was a teacher as well, so I can tell you, we have 14 days sick leave, another casual leave, and so on. And we used to take it in order to prove a point. You know, you absent yourself from classes, but is within the legal context. You could produce, of course, a doctor's certificate stating that but everybody's sick at the same time. If you have the drill into it, you will see that it's something more in the mortar than the pestle. But I would want to know if it is that there's a dual purpose there. having of course accepted the PNM's 5%, is this so-called industrial action is in recognition that they should also benefit from the 10%, apart from that increase not being part and parcel, or forcing the government to have that increase part and parcel of their paycheck at the end of this month, January. We would want to extrapolate and we'll want to find out. But in the meantime, of course, let's go across to Joshua and see Joshua there. Joshua has, of course, with him the mobile mic that I spoke to you of last night. So let's test it and see whether or not he's able to speak to you from where he is in the classroom. As we said, we have set up a classroom scenario because our emphasis will be on education. And we'll have the young people who are going to primary school, we'll start with them in here to, of course, assist them with their home lessons and so on. So that classroom you see there is much bigger than the picture that you're seeing there. I might be able to expand it in a while. But let me hear Joshua. Speak loudly, Joshua, so we could hear you, and tell us what you are doing, apart from, of course, giving your discipline and your manners, saying good evening, etc. I just want to make sure, not that I'm supposed to tell you, but I know that you will do it anyway. But good night, son.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Daddy. I just doing some work. I finished already.
What you're doing?
I'm doing some work.
Oh, I see.
Well, I did some work. I finished already.
Oh, you did some work. Okay. How many pages of work you had there?
7.
7 pages. What? And what subject you were focusing on? Mathematics. All right. Okay. Was it difficult?
No.
All right. Okay. Tell us some of the things that you would have addressed, you would have attacked mathematically. Just read from the instructions and we'll get an idea as to what you were actually doing. Tell us. Read from the document. Go ahead.
Spelling the numbers.
Spelling what?
Spelling the numbers.
Oh, spelling numbers, and give us some now, about 5.
90.
90 or 19?
90.
19, okay. Yeah.
90, 40, 60.
And you asked to spell those numbers, because I mean maths is about numbers, but you also have, as we know, some English in it as well, because you make statements. For example, John went to school with 4 plums, and he gave away 2. How much you remain with, that kind of thing. Those are statements as well that you get in mathematics. Assisting you with your English as at the same time, but so I don't want people to believe your friends and colleagues. Let me just put myself here back on. I don't want you to believe that maths is all about numbers and figures and so on, but it also includes, of course, statements that will be considered to be in the domain of English. Let's go back to Joshua. Joshua, any comments you want to make? What happened today? What was your day like? Boring? I know that you didn't go to school today, but I understand that you probably might not have missed anything because of some work to rule or strike of the teachers. They seem
strike tomorrow too.
Tomorrow as well. You learn that? Okay. But I know that you went to the health center as well. What transpired there?
Well, I'm sick. I have the cold.
Okay.
I had a fever.
Have you fever as well? All right. Okay. And who you went with?
My mother.
You went with mommy. Okay. All right. I hear you. Anything you want to do? You want to do something on the board for us? I didn't think we could get the board as clearly as we'd like, but
I market, right?
Not tonight. You want to do anything about tonight? Because I continue off, because we have callers coming in, so I want to make sure that I give you full opportunity. You going?
Yeah.
All right. I know. We having a problem with the video like it's stick, boy. That camera stick. Let me make sure that we unstick it, because he has stood up and we are not seeing that. Yes, okay. Yeah. All right, good. I think so we have him now. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, senior now. Yeah. Sometimes technology people. Okay. What you going to write? Can hardly see it, but go ahead. We know that you're writing. Tell us what you're writing. A smiley face. Oh, I see. A smiley face. All right. Well, you're drawing that then. Do something mathematical. Draw a triangle for me. Let me see what a triangle is. But make it larger. Don't make it small, because we won't be able to see it too much. Yeah, senior here. Yeah, senior there. You have a red pencil, a red marker in your hand. Yeah. All right. Beautiful. So what is a triangle? A figure with how many sides? A figure with 3 sides. All right, I hear you. And a rectangle, just to make sure. What's a rectangle? All right, and define it for me. What is a rectangle? A figure?
A 6-sided figure.
A what-sided figure?
6.
1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I seen 4. 4-sided figure. All right. Okay. Well, I still want to test you. What is a pentagon? How many sides a pentagon has?
You can remember what that look like?
Eh?
You can remember what that look like?
Eh?
You can remember what that look like? I forget what that look like.
Pentagon. 5 sides.
Hold on, wait.
You're looking for it? All right, okay, no problem. People, of course, you've seen him in the classroom live there. And, of course, he is consulting his... But if I was him, I would have consulted my phone. That is what you do. Consult your phone and find out what a pentagon is before we go forward.
What is a pentagon?
Right, so he's asking the phone, what is a pentagon?
What is a pentagon? Okay.
You get it? Wait, say.
I guess.
Wait, say.
It's a pentagon
Is it what?
A pentagon is a polygon with
5 sides.
5 straight sides.
5 straight lines. All right, there's 5 sides, really. And of course, what is a polygon, right? A polygon is, a figure with, of course, lines. Yeah. All right. You're going to try. Well, listen me. Let me get back to myself. Go ahead. We'll get back to you in a while. Yes, people. So, of course, the line is open, 337-6940. I thought I should just, of course, get a involvement of Joshua. He is in the classroom there and is on the whiteboard doing some work. And all these are part and parcel. And that is why I began the program tonight by talking about, of course, education and school days, and that this is so important for transformation, because you see what education does, as reading, for example, you don't have to be in the United States or China or Japan or any other country to know about its culture and so on, because all you simply got to do is to go on the internet these days. But of course, you can go to the library as well and, read about it. And you don't have to be physical. And you can talk about it authoritatively. Right? Once, of course, you trust the source. The source is important. But generally, that caused you to travel even though you never traveled. Yeah, because you could say that India is this kind of place, China is this kind of place, etc. And you never been there because of reading and so on. Let's go back to Joshua here and see what he did. Yes, indeed. Yeah. We have one or two persons in the audience. They indicating that they are leaving. What you did there, Joshua? Talk in the mic. Oh, just talk hard. What you did?
A pentagon is better how to draw a pentagon.
Okay, and what's a pentagon again?
Pentagon is a five-sided figure.
Okay, beautiful. And a triangle.
Three-sided figure.
And a rectangle. A rectangle.
Four-sided figure.
Four-sided figure. All right, okay. You seem to catch it. Remember, education fundamentally is about remembering. The fellow who could remember retain better and at the same time could analyze, not just retaining, but analyze, certainly will be the one that will be the top of the class or will be much more advanced than those who are less so inclined. All right? So we just have how much more minutes? We said we're finishing at 9:30. Let's see what's the time. It's 9:24 now. Yes? Let me make sure. 9:14. All right, so we have some time. I trust my time is right. Okay, so 9:14. People, of course, the line is open, 337-6940, 337-6940. Of course, yes, we're using the technology, and I know some people are saying, wow, yes, well, you should wow, because these are things that at one time we could have only dream about. If I was in the days that my son is today, I don't know where I would have been, having regard, of course, to my slow development academically in school. I always tell my son I used to fight up to come second to last in tests and so on. And of course, didn't do too well at all. Until, of course, I decided that one day my father embarrassed me. About 14 years thereabout, and he had trucks and so on, and he expected that I will grow up to be a truck driver and a truck probably owner, fleet owner, and therefore would do. So education was not significant for him. So one day we are at the central market, and normally we would transport the Tobago goods those days, peas and plum and even bananas, yes, and chenet would come up, these huge baskets made out of bamboo, and you have to load it up on the truck and then load it off the truck, or offload it, I should say, not load it, offload it onto the market, into the market and so on. And one day I was struggling with one of the baskets of chenet, because of huge baskets, 14 years, 13 years, and a Tobagonian customer turned and said, Mr. Smith, but them fellas and them can't lift up that. You go strain them fellas and them. And he turned and say, they ain't learning nothing in school, so that they had to do for their living. Let me repeat. My father's response was, they ain't learning nothing in school, so they had to do that for the living. And that resonated with me then and there, because it was a double whammy, if not a triple whammy, in that you embarrass me in front of the woman by, of course, asking me to lift up the basket, a basket that, of course, I was obviously struggling with. And when she made the comment, your response was that they ain't learning nothing in school, so they had to do that for the living. So you shouldn't be bothered as to what the consequences may be for a young person, of course, stretching his tender muscles beyond his capacity so to do. Well, as I said, that resonated. And from that day, I made a vow. I'll show my father that I don't have to do this for my living. To cut a long story short, it's important because it's all about education. That is what this program is all about, education. To cut a long story short, eventually, he lived long enough to apologize in his own way, not verbally, not the way how he instituted my resistance to that which he said will be my ultimate destiny. No. But he did say, well done, son. And eventually, of course, when I found my own school, MLIO, which is, of course, a branch is here in the studio here, a registered private school. I'll give you all the information later down, so you'll know, because I had an encounter with a resident who said, well, listen, I am the one that addresses the whole question of young people and the school and so on, and we would want to use the community center, and she would want to take away the registration forms and so on. So I had to tell her firmly that this is a registered school. We have our own building. There's no need to go up to the community center. And more importantly, we do not give out registration forms. We will give out invitation to come and register, because we want to see the parents. We want to get an idea as to the social and physical condition. All of that is enshrined in that form. And we don't believe that we should leave it to any and anybody to have information, to be privy to that kind of personal information. And therefore the school, committed to the self-imposed secrecy, is best placed to treat with that without having to be judgmental. What we want is those young people to come here. Once you are in the primary system and you are in classes from second standard, it could be first, but second standard, first standard, to, of course, your C class, fifth standard, fourth standard, third standard, we will accommodate and we will assist. Free of charge. Free of charge. Very important, free of charge. And an important component of the registration process as well for us, which we did, and therefore is part for the course, because we did that when we had this trade school in Fernandez and when we started in Passy Street in Laventille. We asked parents, guardian or caretakers, or a senior person, a person we consider to be senior, even though they may be close to the age, they may be 40, they may be 20, 21 as the case may be. But once we see them as responsible, we then, of course, engage them. And one of the questions we ask is that whether or not you would like public assistance for that child. Invariably, of course, the answer is yes, because everybody, God knows, can do with a little extra money to manage their domestic situation. But because it is a registered institution and engaged, of course, in education, we can, of course, benefit as any other school in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of our students coming here, and therefore those parents will now be able to access public assistance under the authorization of the school itself. Yeah. That's how far we have been. So you will understand my disappointment tonight. You will appreciate my disapprobation, my disapproval And maybe my I don't want to use the word chagrin, but my antagonism against the independent senators for throwing under the bus, for throwing into the bamboo patch a community like East Port of Spain, Laventille, etc., where within 5 days of declaring an area, and I'm sure that East Port of Spain, Laventille would have been, nobody in this country would be of a different view, be part of the first set of zone of special operations. But within 5 days, I don't know if they read the act. Within 5 days, this community intervention development entity is supposed to be initiated and have access to the various ministries for infrastructure, and it is enshrined in the law. And you know, people like me would see that as a golden opportunity, and therefore would have either, whether directly or indirectly, find these entities and tell them that there is a plethora of issues that we want to address: physical, mental, educational, employment-wise, etc. And let me tell you, in preparation for that, and I will still send it to the Prime Minister, I have already engaged, of course, a number of genuine and developmental community leaders, community activists, where we will have put in a database together, because we said we will have it in time for the rolling out of the legislation. I could produce one for you tonight, you know. The amount of projects right over the road there. We were talking about developing a tilapia farm. Put the facility against the wall on the ground floor and build these tanks so as to provide tilapia and therefore white flesh fish to the restaurants that are in close proximity. We are in Port of Spain, so therefore Hilton, and of course those smaller entities that use white flesh fish as part of their offerings to their customers. Yeah. The East Dry River itself, we used to play cricket and football there. No longer because of the accumulation of garbage. So the idea was to clean it up as part of the physical improvement, and maybe improve it where there are cracks and there are, because over the years it would have deteriorated. And so the structural integrity have been compromised. But at the same time, use it in the dry season to, of course, re-engage. Yeah. In the case of Parsley Street in Laventille, on the flat, we have a whole area, Upper Parsley Street. You talk about Baghdad being bombed up there because the earth, the land movement destroyed homes. Reputable and long-standing families, the Alexises and the Batista and the Morgans and others, the Prudhoms. Sorry about not being able to keep our appointment as we promised, but call me and we will engage. All of that. It's on the agenda, it's on the list. Quite apart from destroyed pavements, road signs, yeah, buildings, public spaces to be improved for commercial and academic and other recreational purposes, including, of course, the algae-ridden swimming pools, all of that. The improvement of our savannas and the pavilions in particular, some of them leaking, some of them have deteriorated because of the non-maintenance and exposure to the elements. Yeah, we ain't joking here. This is a different time. And indeed, right here, we've been talking about, of course, the development of this particular facility here. Joshua has made his departure, I suppose. But to develop the building and modernize it so that we can accommodate as much as we can. Quite apart from sports, we are, of course, we have already showed our prowess one and our commitment to challenging the energy of young people, the sporting activities, starting, of course, with the football. We will go into cricket and other, what I consider to be group sports that will accommodate much people once they are so inclined. So cricket and football, clearly basketball, all of those types of sports, the communities like these would normally gravitate to. All of that we had in preparation for that developmental committee that would have come out of the Zoso bill, converting it into law. I say shame on you, independent senators, for your myopia and for your focus, self-serving focus. Because when we look at the offense to the Constitution, cordoning, a curfew, all limited and different under normal curfew circumstance. What you want? The government can easily reinstate another curfew after a couple months, a national curfew. But here it is, you lost the opportunity to the communities that would benefit from sustainable reduction in crime and criminality and the production of criminals because of an agenda that clearly is not consistent. It is not congruent with true national development and concern for the downtrodden, the underprivileged, and those persons who suffer on a daily basis. Too many and too often not to be concerned as you go back to your respective cozy cocoons, oblivious to the challenges and the evil that can be extended to our main thoroughfares and public spaces, in addressing, of course, frontally the whole question of blue collar, in particular crime. Yes, indeed. That is what you have done. I have yet to verify, but I have no doubt in my mind that the source, Mr. Digo Martin, has always been very, very accurate in his presentation because of the research and the information that he would have sourced in order to bring on programs such as this, the corridor transformation. People, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Once again, of course, let me just switch back to the classroom. That's a classroom there, just one part of it. It is much. Let me see if I could. Anyhow, tomorrow night, I don't want to chance it. The next thing is a different thing. But we have a sort of roving camera for that purpose. We have to train someone to do what I'm doing here because I will be on the board, so to speak. But I'm just letting you know that, yes, we have begun the process. And those who, for reasons that are selfish, for reasons that are narrow, for reasons that are self-serving, for reasons that is clear, it's clear that it is all about your ego and your inability to take off the shackles of narcissistic tendency and behavior. You will, by virtue of your conscience, pay the price for leaving us in the decadence, in the trauma, in the squalor, in the barbaric circumstance, and having been given an opportunity as independent senators to right this, what I consider devastating wrong. Let your conscience thereafter be your guide. To support a group, because that is what that would have done, to support the PNM in its unrelenting quest to destroy Trinidad and Tobago and to destroy, of course, persons and people and communities along the East-West Corridor, as we have seen when they were in government for too long. They will not succeed as they have not succeeded in Tobago. I've often said that when a tiger is cornered, and especially in a very, what I consider to be life-threatening circumstance, it has no choice but to plunge forward, because one of the fundamentals of living things is to move, because you have to eat and you have to avoid danger. Well, the PNM is the existential danger to Trinidad and Tobago. And the senators have supported the opposition in the Senate. And therefore, one can only conclude that it is a conspiracy to deprive underprivileged crime hotspots already have are designated, and most important, for the legalized and legally enshrined, as the ZOSO legislation would have mandated, to have focus on these communities for amelioration, improvement, and advancement. Shame on you. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow night as we continue with these and others. Yes, children, go to school and learn well.
they make me laugh. A riddler, riddler, ring. Run down quick, little boy, run down quick. Donkey trip on your sister stick, so little boy, run down quick. A breeze between two mountains bend. Plenty water lay down and water stand up cane. Sweet, sweet happy days, really happy days. School days was happy, happy days. Big belly otter eat shine for.
Education, education, this is the foundation. Our rising population needs sound education to be recognized anywhere you go. You gotta have your certificate to show to enjoy any kind of happiness. Knowledge is the key to success. Children go to school and learn well. Otherwise, later on in life, you gon' get red hair. Without an education in your head, your whole life will be pure misery. You're better off dead. For there is simply no room in this whole wide world for an uneducated little boy or girl. Don't allow idle companions to lead you astray. To earn tomorrow, you got to learn today.